sure this is working. Yes, it is. Thanks very much, Paul. And tonight the IPSC is extremely honoured to be hosting this very important meeting with Palestinian journalists Ali Abunimah and Abubaker Abed. And it's a discussion not only on the media but on Western complicity in the Israeli-Gaza genocide, which for the last 2 years we have seen an absolutely, as a former journalist myself, a shaming performance by the Western media in terms of the way in which they have covered this genocide, the way in which they have trotted out Israeli lies, Israeli talking points, Israeli speakers with absolutely no hard questioning. And they have treated the lies of Israel as though they were truths, that the implication was that they were truths. And for that reason, Israel has got away with what it's got away with, but not with the people, thank goodness, of both Ireland and the wider world, who have taken to the streets and have seen through the lies and have seen through the complicity. In particular, I know that we were all extremely shocked at the latest war crime this week at Nasser Hospital complex, where Israel cleared the international observers, the international doctors who were there on the complex, and made them go to a training camp which they did not wish to go to. So there were none of them there at 9 o'clock in the morning when the first hit came. And then 10 minutes later, as the journalists gathered around their fallen colleague and the medics arrived to help, another attack. This is the kind of barbarity of the attacks by Israel. 22 people dead in that particular war crime. And of course it's in addition to all of the other war crimes that we have seen, including the one on the Al Jazeera journalist just 2 weeks previous to that. So it is such an honour for the IPSC to tonight. I'm not going to waste your good time on what I have to say, because you can hear me any day of the week. It's such an honour for us to have these absolutely brilliant speakers here tonight. We will start with Ali Abunimah, who is well known to all of you. And he is co-founder of Electronic Intifada. He's been based in the United States, has done an awful lot of outings on mainstream media, on CNN, on MSNBC, etc. He's the author of The Battle for Justice in Palestine and One Country, Two Amazing Books. I will hand over to Ali. Thank you.
They said that we couldn't use the podium because of the way the filming is framed. So that will degrade my performance, because I'm much better when I can stand up and wave my arms around. But I'll do my best sitting down. And of course, it's such a pleasure always to be back in Ireland. It always feels like coming home. And it was home for a brief period. I see friends here in the room who I first met almost 20 years ago when I lived in Ireland for about a year and a half or so. And I was here again in 2018 for the conference on that would have been, the jet lag makes it hard for me to do simple arithmetic, but that would have been the 70th anniversary of the start of the Nakba, the ongoing and intensifying Nakba, which was an extraordinary event. And after that, I was able to come back in May, shortly after Abubaker and other students arrived in Ireland, and it was an extraordinary joy to be here and to meet them and to meet Abubaker in person for the first time after we had seen him sometimes in a dark room, sometimes on a grainy cell phone video from Gaza. We were always afraid for him, as we were and are afraid for everyone in Gaza. And it just seemed like a dream come true to be able to meet you here in Ireland, Abubaker, and something that I still pinch myself and can't believe is real. And on that day in May, I think it was the 17th of May, the first day I arrived was also the National Day for Palestine, also marking the national commemoration of the Great Hunger, the Great Famine. And sadly, I mean, there are so many things that tie Ireland and Palestine together, and sadly this is another one now, enforced famine as a weapon of settler colonialism and genocide. But it was an absolutely incredible day. Abubaker brought the sun. I never saw a single cloud that week I was in Ireland. But to see people coming from all over this island to that march, I think we both, well, I know I cried. I don't know if I think you did too a little bit.
It was very overwhelming.
It was overwhelming, and we needed that. I needed that because, at that point, 20 months into the genocide, that felt like medicine, really, for our souls. And knowing that that was the case all over the country. And any day of the week, you can go on the IPSC website, as I'm sure you all do all the time, and see a list of actions all over this country, from Belfast to Cork, and from just every single town. And of course, we're looking forward to going to Ennis in a couple of days' time, which will be my first time in County Clare. And anyone here from County Clare? At least a couple.
Many of us love it.
Yes, I've heard. It's extraordinary. I don't want to get into a competition about which is the most beautiful county, but it is absolutely wonderful and that's something to celebrate that love and that solidarity that we feel in Ireland. And yesterday, as you'll know, Simon Harris announced that another 52 students have been evacuated from Gaza by the Irish government. He put out a video that some of you might have seen, and they will be going to universities across Ireland and arriving in the next couple of days. And that is an extraordinary relief for them and for their families. It's also extremely bitter. Abubaker will be able to tell you about the bitterness of having to separate from your family in these circumstances, perhaps not knowing if you would see them again. But it is a wonderful thing, and it is a laudable thing for all the people. Simon Harris was happy to stand up and take the credit for it, and perhaps gets a share of the credit, no doubt. But we know that so many people, many of them working behind the scenes, work to make that happen. And the universities across the country who are welcoming these students have also been extraordinary. And but I want to say, and this is, I think, when I watched Simon Harris's video, there was an element to it that, where I wanted to say, this is wonderful, and it is, but it is not a substitute. It is not a substitute for what Ireland must do, for what all countries must do. If it's intended in any way to relieve that pressure from the public on Ireland to act, it can't be allowed to do that. This is a Holocaust. It's a Holocaust. We have to be willing to say it. And rescuing the survivors of a Holocaust is necessary work. And I can't tell you how many times we've been lectured by the European Union about those brave diplomats back in the late 30s and 1940s who issued visas and issued passports to get Jewish people out of Nazi-occupied Europe and saved their lives. And we're told that they are the examples for people to follow today. And they are the examples to follow. They broke laws at the time. They broke rules in order to save people from that Holocaust. But we were also told, and I've been lectured with this all my life, never again, that we have to learn the lessons of history. And we've been asked, what would we do? What would we do if we were alive then? Would we have had the courage to be among those who resisted that evil? Or would we have gone along to get along and been silent and kept our heads down, as so many were at that time, and sadly, as so many are now, none of you in this room, but so many outside, carrying on with daily life as if this horrific genocide is not happening. Now, Ireland has distinguished itself by being, I think, the only EU country that at the highest level has declared that this is a genocide. That statement was made in the Dáil by the Taoiseach, and it's been made repeatedly by Simon Harris. Now, what does that mean? It means that Ireland, which signed and ratified the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Genocide, I believe in 1951, has a legal obligation. That convention states that all parties to that convention commit to prevent and punish the crime of genocide. To punish. Prevention is the most important thing, stopping it. But punishment is there too, so that there's a price for it. And I want to thank again Forza for welcoming us here. And I again, the jet lag makes things difficult, but I think our colleague, I think it was Mr. McSweeney.
That's right.
Right. I'm amazed at that. Sorry?
Paul Sweeney. Paul
Sweeney. Not McSweeney, Paul Sweeney. As he mentioned, that list of demands passed by the Irish Congress of Trade Unions are a minimum list of actions that should be taken. It's absolutely outrageous that the Central Bank of Ireland is facilitating the sale of genocide bonds.
Yeah.
Because every penny that goes into Israel is money that is used for genocide. It is a scandal that the European Union continues to trade openly with Israel. Think about this. The European Union boasts about this, and Ireland has proudly stated that it's participating in this and supports this. 18 sanctions packages against Russia. 18 sanctions packages. They've run out of things to sanction in Russia. They're racking their brains when they go to Brussels to what haven't we sanctioned? What can't we sanction? What asset haven't we blocked that we can still block? And yet they have not taken a single measure against Israel. And just a few weeks ago at the European Council in Brussels, when there was an expectation they would do something. Of course, the demand was, and Ireland has said, that it supports the suspension of the EU-Israel Association Agreement. But there were all sorts of other things they could have done short of that. They didn't do a single thing. Instead, Kaja Kallas, the head of the EU High Representative, said, we've come up with an agreement with Israel that they'll let in more aid. An agreement enforced by what? Nothing. And of course, nothing happened. The starvation got worse. the famine got worse, the bombing got worse, the massacres got worse, because that refusal to act was the green light for Israel to tell them that no matter what you do, no matter what atrocities you commit, the money will still flow from the EU. And it was disheartening to see Ireland near the top of the list of Israel's trade partners, along with China. Disheartening to see that billions of euros worth of trade are done every year. Is there no other countries in the world that Ireland can do prosperous and ethical and productive trade with? Only this brutal, murderous little entity. That's all you can find in the world to do business with? I can't believe that. I can't believe that. And I know because I live in the United States, how close Ireland's relationship is with the United States, and how much trepidation there is among Ireland's leaders about offending anyone in Washington, particularly when it comes to Israel. And that's just a fact that I think we all have to admit. And we've got all the tech companies along the banks of the Liffey now, with their headquarters in the United States, and we know that's a factor. But I think there's a bigger question, not for me to answer, but I think for everyone in this country to answer, about what kind of country, what kind of Ireland this is to be. Is it to be just another boring little outpost of this brutal, genocidal, American-led empire, another identikit country that follows orders from the EU? Is that what Irish people fought and died for so many generations? No. To give up their sovereignty to these murderous, soulless psychopaths in Brussels and Washington? And this is the moment in history where everything, all the narratives, all the stories we were told, everything is out in the open now. We were told it's all about human rights and peace and love and democracy and apple pie. And now we see that this is an empire that said, oh, we have to go and save the people of Ukraine. We have to send billions, tens of billions of euros in weapons to save the people of Ukraine, even though they now want to draft 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds into their proxy war against Russia. And people were told we have to make every sacrifice, while look across the Irish Sea, where grannies and teenagers are being arrested and hauled away by the police for simply opposing genocide. And it's the same story across the EU, thankfully not in Ireland. Yet. And that doesn't seem to me a future. And then everything that people have worked for and lived for, decent education, decent housing, a decent future, all has to be sacrificed to this empire. You've got to spend more money on weapons. You've got to send more money to Ukraine. We in the United States, we've got to send billions more to Israel. What kind of a future? And then everything we were told, every institution that we were told was worth building, international law, the UN, the International Criminal Court, all being torn down for one murderous little settler colony. Nothing will be left. The universities are being dismantled. Free speech is being taken away. All for Israel. What kind of future is that? Now, I just have a couple of minutes I've got my stopwatch on, so I'll stay in time. But we're being told, I mean, Ireland being the exception, declaring its genocide, declaring its genocide, but not acting under its obligations. It will, because I have faith in the people of Ireland that they will make the government, no matter which government, act according to its obligations. But we have all this talk about, or we had, Palestinians could always have told you it's genocide, but we have all this debate, is it, you know, you look at the New York Times, the Washington Post, the BBC, RTE, they barely dare use the word, or they frame it as a debate, is it? Well, Palestinians will tell you. And some people will say, well, the Palestinians brought it on themselves. If only they had been well behaved, none of this would have happened. But I just want to remind people that this was always the plan. This genocide was always the plan.
Yes.
How do I know? Well, let's go back to 20 years ago, when Israel realized that it couldn't hold Gaza anymore because the resistance was too strong. It was too expensive and difficult to defend the settlers there. And they said, we have to pull out of Gaza. And this was marketed at the time as, oh, redeployment. And they're going to build greenhouses in Gaza, and it's going to be a Singapore on the Mediterranean. Think Donald Trump's Riviera is a new idea. It's not. Well, this is the reality. This is what the advisor, senior advisor to Ariel Sharon, his name is Arnon Sofer, said the future of Gaza would be. And this was in an interview published in the Jerusalem Post on May the 21st, 2004. Now, you won't find this anymore because they took it down. They don't publish these things in English anymore. Israelis seem to think Hebrew is a secret language, and they can say whatever they want in Hebrew, just as long as you don't publish it in English, no one will know. Of course, now we all have the translate button. But this is what Arnon Sofer said would be the purpose of withdrawing the settlers from Gaza and moving the occupation forces to the periphery. He said that, as they called it, unilateral separation from Gaza. Unilateral separation doesn't guarantee peace. It guarantees a Jewish Zionist state with an overwhelming majority of Jews. What will be the price of this? Well, Arnon Sofer said, the day after unilateral separation, the Palestinians will bombard us with artillery fire, and we will have to retaliate. But at least the war will be at the fence, not in the kindergartens of Tel Aviv and Haifa. We will tell the Palestinians that if a single missile is fired over the fence, we will fire 10 in response. And when women and children will be killed, and women and children will be killed, and houses will be destroyed. Then he predicted the future, 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, where we are now. When 2.5 million people live in a closed-off Gaza, it's going to be a human catastrophe. Those people will be even bigger animals than they are today, with the aid of an insane fundamentalist Islam. The pressure at the border will be awful. It's going to be a terrible war. So if we want to remain alive, we will have to kill and kill and kill, all day, every day. He wasn't done. This is what he said. If we don't kill, we will cease to exist. The only thing that concerns me is how to ensure that the boys and men who are going to have to do the killing will be able to return home to their families and be normal human beings. That was always the plan for Gaza. There was nothing Palestinians could have done to prevent it, and they have every right to resist it until Palestine is liberated from the liberty. Thank you.